Thank you. Welcome, everyone. Thanks for joining. My name is Spencer Douglas. I am on the Appficiency team here. I am in the marketing sales department. I mostly work on webinars and social media here. On that note, we will get started and kicked off here. So a brief high-level overview of what we will be talking about today. We will first introduce ourselves, talk about efficiency, talk about what NetSuite did with them, and talk to Kyle, our NVE rep here, who has been working closely with Efficiency for years now. And on that note, we will leave it off to Maddie to introduce herself, and then Kyle as well.
Awesome. Thanks, Spencer. Hi, everyone. My name is Maddie McGranahan. I am one of our senior sales operations associates with Efficiency. So my role is really prominent in the sales cycle. So if you engage with us on a project that you might have for your business, there's a good chance that you might talk to me. So I've been on the team for just about 2 years now. I'm based out of our Denver office. I've worked with a number of our clients, very similar to Kyle as well as Kyle. So really looking forward to speaking with you all today, letting you learn a little bit more about us, and I will turn it over to Kyle to give a brief introduction of himself.
Thanks, Maddie. Hello, everyone. My name is Kyle Rupsman. I am the Executive Vice President of Operations at NVE, and essentially that means I'm overseeing all of our operations around our portfolio of brands under the NVE umbrella. And I was in charge of our NetSuite implementation several years back when we decided to switch ERP softwares.
Awesome. Thanks, Kyle. So I wanted to start us off here today just with a brief introduction on who Efficiency is. So we are a tech startup. We offer NetSuite consulting services as well. We have, our own in-house developers that develop a number of solutions on the NetSuite platform for agency and media companies. We have a large presence in a number of companies in that space as well. We touch on a number of other industries, but definitely want to focus us today on the agency, media, and publishing space. So we were started about 6 years ago in our founder's basement. So we're based out of Toronto, but we also have offices in Denver and a number of other locations around the world. So it's been a pleasure to be a part of this team, watch us grow, watch us bring in a number of new clients such as NVE and Kyle. We really value those client relationships, and we like to, help support you on NetSuite past just your initial implementation and go live, similar to how our relationship has been built with the team at NVE and Kyle. So without further ado, Kyle, I know you know that we have a number of questions that we want to dig in with you today. I know the audience is really curious to hear everything about NVE's implementation and your experience on NetSuite. So to kick us off, I wanted to ask you, could you start by giving us just a brief intro to who NVE is and what you guys do?
I'd be happy to. So NVE was founded in 2005, and we are a brand experience agency. And our remit is we build creative ideas that are rooted in culture. We were founded on this principle that the right moment would transform someone forever. And that is kind of our guiding light through all of the events and campaigns that we produce at NVE. Go to the next slide. And one more, if you wouldn't mind. So we operate in 7 distinct areas. We produce integrated marketing campaigns. So essentially those are 360 multi-channel marketing campaigns. We work heavily in experiential, and that's really what we define as immersive consumer activations. Additionally, and much more in the last year through this COVID pandemic, we operate in the virtual space. So producing custom virtual experiences, online webinars, things of that nature. live events is really our bread and butter, and that's what we were founded on. So we produce somewhere around 250 live events a year, all over the world. And it's really what we were founded as, was a live event production company, and we've evolved substantially since then. One of our newest offerings is in the content space. So we're now offering branded content for social, commercials, really branded original content for our clients. We also have an interactive division that handles all sorts of custom development. So that can be everything from custom websites, mobile app development, experiential, interactive activations at events. And last but not least is communications. So strategic and first to market media solutions. Next slide. And so the way we accomplish all of that is with our 4 brands under the NVE umbrella. So NVE is primarily the integrated marketing solution. Treehouse, which is one of our brands, is our custom fabrication scenic shop. So they have a warehouse out in Sun Valley. We build all sorts of custom scenic elements for the live events that we produce. And for our content pieces, for that matter, set pieces. Cognition, which I also head up as the president, is our interactive studio. So as I mentioned, we do a lot of custom app development and interactive solutions for live events. And last but not least is the Future Party, which is our media company, in-house media company and influencer marketing solution.
Very awesome.
So just to kind of summarize, we're currently sitting at just over 100 employees. Our offices are headquartered here in Los Angeles, with additional offices in New York and London. I mentioned we have 4 brands in the portfolio: NVE, Treehouse, Cognition, and the Future Party. We're averaging a little over 50 million in annual revenue and producing around 250 projects annually on almost every continent. And when you figure that most of our events are happening on Fridays and Saturdays, there's a lot of overlap with those 250 projects annually.
Very fun. It's been a pleasure to see how much NVE has grown over the years, for sure. You guys do a lot of really awesome stuff. So Kyle, shifting gears a little bit, I want to talk a little bit more about your ERP journey. And I'm wondering if you could share with us, when you guys decided to seek out a new ERP, what were some of the key business drivers for NVE that led to that journey?
Yeah, so I think we had a little bit of an interesting path to get to NetSuite. It started, I think, in a familiar place to a lot of people. We were on QuickBooks. At the time, we were a much smaller shop, producing far less events. And, we started to realize that QuickBooks was not giving us the access to the real-time data that we need. Essentially, the way that we operate, our producers handle a lot of the finances that run through the company because they're really owning their project budgets. And we were really struggling to get that real-time data from the teams in the field and be able to, basically get actionable insights from it. So we actually started by migrating to a competing ERP solution, and they build themselves as being tailor fit for agencies. And what we quickly realized after being on that platform for just under a year is that they were built for one specific type of agency, and that was really advertising agencies. So our needs were a little bit different than that, and they really lacked any sort of customization or an ability to color outside the lines, if you will. So, after being on that platform for a year, we realized we need another solution. We started vetting our other options. First and foremost, like I mentioned, customization was kind of the biggest thing. We have really specific operational requirements in producing live events, and the type of audit trails we need for our clients, and just the way we operate. And so we needed a solution that was going to allow us to really tweak it and customize it to work the way that we wanted it to. Secondly, I think we were really impressed with NetSuite in that it was evident that they were very interested in continuing to push the software suite forward. We all know how fast technology iterates, and especially coming off of the previous ERP software, it was evident that NetSuite was kind of in a class of its own in terms of continuing to iterate on the software and keep up with technology. So that really made an impression on us, especially being kind of a technology forward company. We also, we at that time we were one office in Los Angeles, but we knew we had ambitions to scale internationally. So, we were forward thinking about making sure we had a solution that could scale with us, help us with tax compliance as we scaled internationally. And since implementing NetSuite, we have done that. We scaled out to London, and it's worked seamlessly. We also, as I mentioned, we live and die by our project financials. We're a services agency. Our entire business model is project based. So we needed a solution that had the granularity of project reporting that we needed. We needed to make sure we were really capturing time and expenses that are hitting against projects, and be able to run really comprehensive reporting on burn rates and profitability, project profitability, things of that nature. And the project module within NetSuite ended up being a great solution for that. And lastly, was third-party integrations. Our entire company runs on Box, so we're leveraging the Box integration right now to keep project files associated with projects in NetSuite. We have a scary amount of credit cards that are issued at this company, so we're using Nexonia to help with our credit card classification and reconciliation. We're using Tipalti for some AP automation. Long story short, NetSuite provides the opportunity to leverage some of these other pieces of software to optimize our operations, and that was key for us.
That's awesome. Thanks for sharing all that.
Yeah, of course.
So I guess to kind of piggyback off of that, Kyle, I definitely see why you went the NetSuite direction. I'm glad that they were able to offer all of these solutions to your company. What kind of steered you towards choosing an alliance partner like Appficiency for your implementation?
Yeah, it was a lot of things, and we took a lot of meetings with a lot of different solution partners when we were starting this endeavor. First and foremost, it was customer service. I remember from the first call that we took, the first scoping call where we met with you guys, it was just evident that there was a general interest in our success, and that really resonated with us and continued throughout the entirety of the implementation. On a more practical note, we were in this unique situation that we had just switched to another ERP software. The entire company was dreading switching again, and we had a really aggressive timeline that we were trying to hit. And of everyone that we spoke with, Appficiency was the only one that was willing to take that journey with us and really push hard to meet our deadlines. And I think when all was said and done, we ended up wrapping our implementation process in just around 4 months, which every other partner was quoting us at least a year. So that was a really, really big distinguishing factor. Also, the knowledge of the services sector. A lot of shops that we were talking to had a good understanding of retail and warehousing and e-commerce, but it was evident that Appficiency understood the services sector and what our specific needs were much better than many of the other folks that we were talking to. And kind of part and parcel with that is the suite script solutions. As I mentioned, we had a lot of specific requirements, and with your development team, it was evident that you could implement those custom scripting solutions and really get NetSuite dialed in the way that we needed to, and still all within that incredibly aggressive timeline. So it was pretty remarkable. Again, going back to this unique position, our financial data was kind of a mess because of these multiple implementations that we were going through. We needed somebody that was able to kind of weed through that noise with us and have an incredible attention to detail. I remember when we finally cut over, we were literally penny perfect in NetSuite when we went live, and yeah, it was remarkable. So incredible attention to detail really got us through that mess. And last but not least, we kind of started this NetSuite journey right at the precipice of pretty explosive growth for us. We kind of saw that tidal wave coming, and we knew we were going to need a partner that was willing to kind of stay on with us after implementation and continue to evolve. Things like I mentioned, like adding international offices and multi-currency. And from the beginning, Appficiency, was willing to commit to that. And we've been working together for years now and continuing to evolve our platform. And y'all have been a great partner through the duration.
Thanks, Kyle. That's really awesome. We're definitely really proud of the relationship that we have with the team at NVE and so many of our clients that last well past implementation. So I guess to kind of emphasize off that, what of your growth and expansion, what would you say has been the most beneficial part of having NetSuite and Appficiency behind you guys with all of the growth that you've experienced the last couple of years?
That's a great question. It really comes down to like access to data. As we've expanded offices, as we have, scaled internationally, we've never lost sight of like the granular project reporting and financials that we need to make business decisions. And, for us, while we do have a pretty good roster of retainer and AOR clients, a lot of our work is still project-based. So forward-looking forecasts have historically been very challenging for us, but through NetSuite and what Appficiency has configured for us, we finally have a handle on that better than we ever have before. And even with, orders of magnitude more complexity. So I think it's just really enabled us to operate our business more based on data and real information and less on gut instinct.
Absolutely. That's really great to hear. So could you tell us, are there any current like improvements or efficiencies project-wise that you guys are working on in NetSuite right now?
Yeah, we actually just started a scoping call on another kind of tax implementation, a VAT tax implementation with you guys. Our accounting team out of the UK had some specific requirements for reporting on VAT. And this will actually be kind of the first year operating out of the UK. So we're going through that process right now with you guys of getting our multi-currency and more specifically the tax reporting side of that configured in the platform. And yeah, that's kind of like hot off the press. We just had our scoping call, I think maybe a week or two ago. So we're just kind of getting that one off the ground.
Yeah, that's great. I know our team is really, really excited about the project, and we're definitely glad we can help support your team over in the UK. Let's see here. So I have a few more questions to walk through for sure, but wanted to, now that we're kind of to the end of our slides, open it up to the audience. If there's any questions that anyone had as well that's watching here today, we'd love for you to throw those in the chat or the Q&A box now, and I can kind of read those off in addition to some of the other questions that we have here. So Kyle, how did you guys know at NVE that you were ready for a new ERP? I know you mentioned you guys had switched over to the competitor. Like, how did you know you were ready to switch again?
So initially, I think we started realizing that it was becoming incredibly labor intensive to collect all of the financial data from our production teams and get that into QuickBooks. And, what we were experiencing was, a pretty severe lag in being able to report on financial data. And it was preventing us from being able to make strategic decisions because we were continually operating on financial data that was outdated. So that was kind of the initial threshold where we were like, all right, we need to do something better because this is not going to be sustainable long term. With that kind of intermediary ERP software that we were using, truthfully, it really came down to feedback from our team and employees that everything was so cumbersome. It was so tailored to a very specific type of agency that for us to utilize it the way we needed it to added way too much extra work on everybody's plate to kind of get it to operate. So we were just listening to our teams and hearing the feedback that, it wasn't working. We were kind of getting the data in there, but it was ruining everybody's lives to get it in there. And that's really when we realized we had to make another change. It's kind of one of the added benefits that I may have not mentioned with NetSuite is that it is fairly user-friendly. Onboarding new employees and getting them up to speed on the platform is way easier than anything else that we've used, that's for sure.
That's great to hear. Yeah, I have kind of the same impression of NetSuite, right? I had never actually even used the NetSuite before I joined Appficiency, and it's a pretty intuitive platform. So that's great to hear that you guys have a similar experience.
Yeah, and I think we've put up the appropriate guardrails in places and really tailored the user experience so that it's as user-friendly as it can be. It does take work to get it there. You do have to do the work during implementation to make sure that it's intuitive, but with your guys' help, we were able to do that, and we're still reaping the rewards of that.
That's really awesome to hear. So I guess to kind of piggyback off of that, do you have any advice for companies that might be looking to change a system?
Yeah, I do. A couple pieces of advice. I would say, first and foremost, get buy-in from the company and your employees. Include them to an extent in the process. Share with them what to expect and include them in a lot of those conversations, because as we all know, people are resistant to change. People like what they're familiar with, and changing ERP software is a big move for your company. It definitely is. But if you make people feel bought in, if you make people feel invested, if you give people an opportunity to voice their opinions and share that process with them, take it from me, having gone through it multiple times now, you'll have a much better result in the end. So that's number one. Number two, I would just say spend the time getting your data in a good place and packaged up, all your financial data, because it'll make transferring all that over into NetSuite a lot easier. So one kind of practical piece of advice, one kind of existential piece of advice.
Totally. Yeah, data is definitely a challenge. So I would definitely echo that from the implementation partner side. We would have very similar advice to our clients as well. That's awesome. So knowing what you know now, Kyle, about NetSuite, about choosing a partner, going through the implementation, and now experiencing the amount of growth that your company has on the platform, is there anything that you would have done differently if you could go back?
That's a great question. It's one of those things that you don't know what you don't know when you're starting out. So, we were very fortunate that we had you guys to help guide and counsel us because, similar to you, Maddie, I had never used NetSuite at any of my previous companies. We were kind of going in blind. So it's hard to say what I would have done differently. We've been really pleased with how everything has turned out. But we are constantly evolving it, So I think, maybe this actually falls in the category of one more piece of advice, but it's be open to evolving the platform, just be aware, listen to what your employees are saying, and don't feel like once it's launched, it has to be done. You can continue to evolve that and tailor it to get it exactly where it needs to be. And that's truthfully what we've done. So anytime we encounter something that maybe we wish we would have done differently, we try to make the effort to change it and get it to where it needs to be.
Definitely. That's good. Open-mindedness, right? Very important for all aspects of ERP. Awesome. So Kyle, I think I only have one more question here for you, and I want to leave this a little more open-ended for you. So what's next for you guys? Whether what's next for NVE as a company, or what's next on the NetSuite platform? Anything that you're able to share with us today?
Yeah, sure. I mean, coming out of COVID has been a crazy time, as everyone knows, as everyone has experienced, and it really accelerated our focus on kind of the digital space. We really had to put a pause on a lot of our live events for most of 2020, but thankfully we were able to pivot and expand our online presence a lot, and I think that's going to continue to be a focus even as live events are coming back. More than ever, our clients are wanting to ensure that there is an online or digital or virtual extension to any event that we're producing. So we're going to continue to invest in that, and we're going to continue to invest in content because, kind of part and parcel to that digital experience is the content that you put on it. And we're seeing a lot of interest from our clients on that branded content side. On the NetSuite side, I think short term, like I mentioned, we're going through some tax exercises for our London office. I could see, as we start adding these different business units, that they all kind of have a little bit of a different way of operating. So probably adding a few more subsidiaries and getting that process dialed in for some of our different divisions like Cognition and the Future Party. That's probably our next 2-3 years or so.
That sounds fantastic. I can tell you, we're definitely, the whole team at Efficiency is really looking forward to seeing what's next for you guys, how much you grow, and know that you will definitely accomplish all of those things. It's very exciting to be in this partnership, and thank you so much for joining us today and talking to us about NetSuite, about NVE, your experience. It's really helpful for a lot of others that are looking at NetSuite, and as well, just really appreciate you sharing everything that you did today.
Totally, my pleasure. It's a pleasure chatting with you today.
Yeah, so I will hand it over to Spencer to close us out here.
Yeah, thanks so much, Maddie. First off, Kyle, thank you so much for taking the time. I know it's a lot of work to do this, so thanks so much. On that note, to close off, if you have any questions, concerns, or just want to reach out to talk generally or schedule any meetings or anything like that, our email is here and our phone number as well as our website. So feel free to reach out. On that note, thank you so much for everyone joining. We love to hear from you. Thanks.